Welcome to Module 5 of this Positive Risk Taking course. This module is entitled Risk Decision Making. And thinking back to when I was first introducing that concept of positive risk taking way back in 1994, whilst it was there to describe what we were doing as a very small, very focused team, a case management team at the time, when I reflect back over those years, what it was really about was helping us to make some difficult, challenging risk decisions, but feel more confident in the way we were doing it. And that, in essence, has been the transformation of what this course is trying to achieve with you, is to move away from a tick box mentality, even though, as I say on occasions during the course, I can't magic away those tick boxes. But it is moving away from a sense of being stuck just with tick boxes and transforming your thinking about how you go about making some of those decisions that challenge you day in, day out, challenge the people that you serve day in, day out. So risk decision making, it's the culmination of these 5 modules. Congratulations for arriving at this point. You would have set out looking at the issues of blame and fear and risk aversion in Module 1. We would have outlined working with risk, how we analyse, basically risk assessment, how we analyse and evaluate information. Collaborating with others, working with people in Module 3. The counterbalance to the negativity, so working with strengths in Module 4. And all of that underpins the information you're about to be working through, which is looking at how we achieve those decisions. We can fall into a number of traps in our decision making, and early on in this module I'll explore what a few of those traps might be. I'll then go on to look at, very briefly, some of the work of Daniel Kahneman, who is quite instrumental in setting up this System 1 and System 2 way of thinking, the rational and the intuitive. And following on from that, I'll look at the role of intuition in a bit more detail. It's one of those controversial areas when we're thinking about risk. A number of times that over the years in practice development and training that people have said to me, we're not allowed to use intuition. It's got to be fact-based all the time. Well, I'm going to challenge that way of thinking and also help us to look at how we make productive use of intuition. Because after all, pretty much everybody I've asked over many years, what role does intuition play in your work, in your decision making? They pretty much all say it's a massive influence. So we can't ignore that entirely. We'll counterbalance that by looking at some of the biases in our decision making. Cognitive bias, hindsight bias, confirmation bias. So these psychological concepts, again, just taking a brief examination of those so we're aware of how they might be influencing the way we make decisions. All of this leads on to what I would say is the core part of the whole of this course, the structured approach, the checklist that I will offer you that draws together all of this information across the course into a checklist, something that you can keep in your own mind to apply to situations fairly easily. And it will be something that I'll refer to as a support when you're in the moment of crisis and you have to make a snap judgment. It's the same process, it's the same checklist that will support you and your colleagues when you come together for detailed analysis, detailed discussion, collective decision making. And risk formulation will be very much part of that process. So we'll take a look also at what risk formulation is. Last but not least, and it kind of goes back to the very first module, people still end up being slightly more risk averse in their decision making if they feel there's a fear that they're going to get blamed if things go wrong, that management, the organization itself, will not support them. So it's very important for me, I think, and certainly in terms of the practice development I've done over many years with different teams and different organizations. It's very important to examine what is a reasonable role that management, the organization, should take in those most difficult situations when something's gone wrong. And by and large, I'm also talking about when it really does go seriously wrong. An example being that we have a death on our hands. Does it help to instantly be jumping onto that bandwagon of the blame game? It's what drives risk averse decisions. I'm yet to be convinced, after many decades, that that is the best way of supporting and delivering best practice. So I will address that towards the end of this particular module. So that said, enjoy Module 5.